You're listening to the Auricle Podcast with Ben Amoa.
Hello there.
You know, one of the most common icebreaker questions is, what's your biggest fear? And when I think about what my biggest fear is, it's that I'm scared to fail. And even more than that, I'm scared to cause other people to fail. You know, my fear of failure has always been in the way. I think it's always been something that kind of popped up when I didn't really think about it, and I always was able to just make a little joke about it. But it really has gotten in the way of some things I want to do. You know, when I was in grade 12, it was fear that caused me to quit basketball tryouts after my first tryout. You know, it wasn't because of my skill level, because I know I'm trash at ball, but it was because I was more scared that I wouldn't make the team. When I came to Berman, or CUC at the time, it was fear that gave me a stomach flu on the day of the acrobatics team's tryout. That first day there, and I just made an excuse. I texted the coach and I just said, I'm not feeling too well, I can't make it. It's that same fear that always gets in the way of what I want to be or what I want to do. It seems to be something that always gets in the way. And when I think about it, my fear of failure can get in the way of how bad I want to succeed at something. But I know I'm not just speaking for myself. Imagine if we never let fear stand in between something we always wanted. Imagine if we were always fearless. Today, sharing his story will be one of my old friends named Keynes Woods, also known as Keynes Woods. He'll be sharing his story of overcoming failure and getting to where he's at today.
My name's Keynes Woods is my stage name. I make music. From Congo originally, but I've lived in Ottawa my entire life, which is where I met Ben and a lot of my other friends. That's basically it.
And Kay's like, when we were kids, like when we were in high school, like you never did music like this. Like, I don't know, like I remember you used to sing like kind of as a joke.
Yeah, you guys used to make fun of me because I used to all the time.
We used to kind of roast you. What happened?
Yeah, you guys used to roast me.
What happened though?
What's it called? I used to rap too sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, because I remember like Jalen used to rap, like I used to freestyle, and people would be like, oh.
Yeah.
I was always looking like I can kind of rap too. And I actually in high school I came out with the track in high school, but the only person I ever showed it to was Jeremy. And then I put it out and like on YouTube or whatever and took it down like the day after because I was scared to get roasted. So,
wait, you're telling me while we were together you dropped a track but you never showed anybody?
I never showed anybody, nah. But I've always been like into it. Like I've always like done it, but like not like that. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like jokingly or like. It's kind of like it was never. I never thought of it like that. But
so like what? Honestly, like, and this is like again, like this is pretty much just us catching up because we haven't seen each other. Like we graduated in 2013. I was in Ottawa that 1 year after at University of Ottawa. Where were you that year? Right after graduation. You were at Algonquin, and then after I left. Pretty much that next in August.
Yeah.
And then I think I'd seen you when I come home and visit, but like straight up, like we haven't seen each other in like 4 years.
Yeah, we've had like passive conversations. I know I seen you around Christmas time.
Yeah, that's right. I saw you at the mall.
A little bit. Yeah.
So
but it wasn't like, yeah.
And so what changed? Like I guess like when we would roast you, like we were just kind of making jokes, you know, whenever you'd freestyle or whenever you'd sing a little bit with Shania or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Like, what changed? Like what changed that pushed you to like leave and then like you started making music?
Man. Okay, so I was at Algonquin, I was studying marketing, advertising and marketing, whatever, and then it was like after like my last year, kind of like when I was about to finish, I was just like kind of like, what am I even doing? You know what I mean? Like, um, and like I kind of like I remember, yeah, I just remember like being really stressed out. I was working on that like quickly app thing with Jared, if you remember. So like
Yeah.
that's when, yeah. So I was working on like that at the time, but then I had stopped, like something went down with that, and like I had stopped working like with them or whatever. So I was just like, yo, like what am I doing? And, like I went through like a little stage of like, I don't even want to call it depression, but it was just kind of like, yo, like my life's kind of like I kind of have to figure out what I want to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like I just remember like starting to like write again, but it was more out of just like, yo, like I need to do something. You know what I mean? Or like it's kind of like a way to like vent. You know, like it was just I needed to put like my energy somewhere. You know, and like that was like the most productive thing I could do. So I started writing or whatever. And I was just like, yo, why not just like try to record? You know? And I remember this specific incident. You know Christian and Seb, obviously. Like we're all friends,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But I remember this like the first time I was going to the studio, or whatever. I was just like, we were chilling at the coffee shop, and I was just like, yo, like I'm trying to go to the studio, like with Noel or whatever, blah blah. Like you guys should go through. And then they're just like, yo, we're not going to the studio. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean going to the studio? It was like a foreign concept for us, you know. But like, I was like, I just want to try it out, blah blah. And like, yeah, that's like, yo, nobody's going to the studio with you, blah blah. And I ended up just like missioning it by myself. I
Wow.
recorded a track, and after that, I was like, yo, I really like doing this. I kept recording. I was like, yo, maybe I should shoot a video, and I shot my first video, and then just kept doing it. And that's how it happened.
So you're saying like you were kind of in a dark place, in a place where like you were like at a standstill. You felt like
Yeah,
you were losing purpose, and that made you respark like your original passion.
yeah, kinda. Like, I mean, I've always been like the type to do something. You know what I mean? Like I always have like some type of like next level endeavor, like I like trying like a lot of different things. You know what I mean? And like I'm always like I always have a project to work on. So me being in a place where I was like, okay, I don't have a project to work on. School's about to finish. You know what I mean? Like I don't have any type of passion project anymore. It's like that's kind of like to me is like it's depressing almost because it's just like, you know, like being the type of person I am, it's like when I don't have something to do, like it starts messing with my head. Like I get mad anxious. I'm like, yo, I'm a loser, blah blah blah, you know. So yeah, so it did come from a kind of dark place. Yeah.
And so like what made you then like now like go back to something that you knew that you kind of always kind of too scared to do? Like how did that like what did you how did you overcome that?
um I don't know. Like I guess it just happened naturally. You know, like I didn't go into it with the intention of like, hey, I'm gonna show the entire world, and then the entire world's gonna like love what I do. You know, it was kind of like baby steps. Just like it started off with like writing, blah blah blah. And I remember Pat was at my crib one time, and like this was before I had recorded anything, and I just like I rapped something to Pat real quick, and then he was like, oh, like you know, like cool, blah blah blah. We didn't really think much of it either, but it just like baby steps, like little by little. You know, I show Pat, and then I make a track, then I show so and so. You know, I started showing Jeremy a few tracks or whatever. He's like, cool, and I posted on SoundCloud. So just like little baby steps, you know, and
Yeah.
then the more and more you do it, the more people you show, the more comfortable you get, and yeah,
So then after that, bro, like you left to Toronto.
yeah,
What
yeah.
month? That was I guess 2014? No. That
So
was like
that was 3
2015, right?
years, 15, yeah, 15, 16. So it was 3 years out of high school
Yeah.
because I
So
finished college. Yeah,
so what happened? Like what how did you leave? What made you leave home?
man, I'm not even gonna lie. Like I got to the point where I didn't like Ottawa anymore, just cause uh I didn't feel like valued. You know what I mean? And it
What
was
do you
kind of
mean? What do you mean by that?
like the art scene is like there's was no real art scene in a way. I just felt like I was seeing the same people, going to the same places, like all the time. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yo, there's more to life than like this little, you know what I mean? I don't know. There was a lot going on. I was just like, okay, I need something like different. I feel like I'm not really going anywhere here. Like I'm just kind of staying in the same like places, doing the same things, you know? And the best way for me to get out of this little cycle is to go somewhere else, you know, and just kind of like get a fresh start as like Keynes Woods, as opposed to being like, hey, this is Keynes. He used to be Sweetness, whatever.
Yeah, I know
Keynes,
you. That's what he.
you know
That's
what I'm
what.
saying? Like,
Gabe, like when you first introduce yourself, you're like, call me Sweetness.
yeah, you know, like it was, yeah. I kind of needed that move to kind of just a little bit of a reset, get out of like this, like, you know, just get out of like a certain area and like explore a little bit more. Um, but yeah, some of it was like anger of like, yo, you know, like just thinking like that kind of way, and then some of it was kind of like you need to just explore, like, um, see what's outside of your city, you know, open your mind a little bit. And yeah.
So would you say, like, do you think honestly, like, if when people are in standstills if people are in kind of like a rut, like it's important to change your location and like not even change your name, but not change who you are, but like kind of change like your situation, like change what you're doing. You have to try something new.
I think so. I think it's very important to do that. I think it's very important to do that because if you're doing the same thing, that you're doing, if you're in that bad spot, then you're just gonna stay in that bad spot. You know, if you change something up, then, you know, I guess it's kind of logical. Like it makes sense
Yeah.
that you need to change a few things if you want to see different results.
So then why do you think people keep doing the same thing then?
Because in a way, it's comfortable. I think. You know, it's also like really really hard to change. Like I think like it's really really hard to like get out of like bad cycles and like break bad habits. Um, and it's scary.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
risky.
it's risky. Yeah, it's risky and it's scary. So I understand how people kind of stay in like the same, kind of get stuck in like these cycles where they can't get out of it. Just because, yeah, like it's scary to change, you know?
Yeah. So then you went to Toronto, you left home, got out of the rut, and then like, how did you, how did you rise and how did you shake? Like, what did that feel like? Leaving, taking this risk, leaving home, leaving somewhere comfortable, though it was bad. Like, what did you do? How did you get out of that, and what happened?
I mean, I feel like you're making Ottawa seem like it was like a terrible situation. I was
No,
still
no.
like, yeah, yeah. I guess mentally, okay, I
For you,
agree.
it was a no. For you, Keynes, it was not the best place for you. Like, that's it. Like, not saying Ottawa was bad, but for you, it
Yeah,
wasn't good at
yeah,
the
true,
time.
true. I guess, okay, so yeah, like I said, it was scary and uncomfortable. I was also excited though, just because it's like you hear a lot of good things about Toronto. It's a big city, blah blah blah. But I also had no friends, which in a way was like really good for me, because, um, like I'm the type of person who gets like influenced like pretty easily, and like I realized like over the years that, um, like I don't like to be alone. You know what I mean? Like I really don't. But being alone here, like with no friends, kind of like taught me how to be alone and like comfortable with myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As I started hanging out with myself, you know, like I remember like I would walk around the York campus just like by myself, listening to, um, what's it called? Listening to like Frank Ocean. Like I remember just like falling in love with like different types of music or whatever. I was, because I was solo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I got to the point where I became a lot more introverted, which you could look at it as a bad thing, but like it was like better for me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh,
I learned a lot about myself. Yeah,
that's
it's
crazy.
pretty.
Honestly, like I feel like from what you're telling me, like there's like almost like an equation, and it seems like when if you're in a rut and like when you are struggling, like pursuing like what's in your heart, it seems like you have to sometimes change locations and then also be ready to be solo for a bit.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, I think that's true. Cause we're having a therapy session right now, low key. Cause I'm actually learning a lot just by talking about it. Um, it's kind of like I find a lot of people are scared to be alone, you know, and because it is hard, like it is very very hard, especially being like a social person, like it's difficult to like be alone, but like it's sometimes it's like best, you know.
And so,
Yeah.
do you think that you'd be where you are right now? Um, like, wait, actually, just do you think like right now in what you're doing, do you think you're successful? Not like saying that you've reached the top or anything, but do you feel like you've seen success?
um
You've seen growth and like you've seen productivity.
I've seen growth and productivity. Yes. Huh. That's a hard question. That's a good question.
Yeah, I guess my question almost, yeah, and like just still think about it. It's like, do you think the risk that you took was worth it?
Okay, yes, I think it is, because regardless of if like there's always this like um question of like, oh, like when you, this thing like when you're popping, you know what I mean, when you make it, but it's like that's so like what is making it, which is why like this question is so hard to like answer, because to me I feel like I haven't made it yet. um, but I think I've kind of proven to myself that like I can get to where I want to be. um, and I've proven to myself that I'm actually good at what I'm doing, and that I'm improving, you know, and I guess that's like a yes to your answer, but no,
Yeah.
I don't think I've like made it yet. Like like I don't think I'm there, you know, but I have taken steps, like and I think I'm doing like decent, um, especially from where I started, you know. Um, I think yeah, I think I'm doing okay. I think I'm on the way.
No, and I think that's important. I think like, kind of what that says to me, and it's like, and I think what I wish I could tell everybody is that it's not that when you take the risk, you're automatically gonna see gold. You're not gonna just see like, oh man, like you made it to the top. But at
Oh
least
yeah,
now you have the confidence to continue grinding and continue pushing yourself towards your goal.
yeah. It's kind of like I proved to myself that okay, like you have something, you know, and like that kind of keeps me going each time. I think of quitting like every like couple of weeks. I'm just like, ah, but then I'm like, wait, you kind of did this, like you did that, you know, like you were able to like this music's in just a year from musical opportunities I've been to, you know, LA, I've been to Germany, I've been to London, I've been to New York, you know, and like I in a year, you know what I mean, and like I would have never been able to do that like 2 years ago if I hadn't taken like this chance. So regardless of what happens, like I've gotten opportunities, and like I've proven to myself like yo, you can really do this, you know?
Yeah, that's powerful. No, that's powerful, bro. Because like at least at the end of the day, you know you took the risk and you tried it, and
Yeah.
uh, and like you, I think it's what's important. And I think what people honestly forget, and it's so tempting to, bro, is that like you have to continue to look back and see your progress
Yeah.
to keep you moving.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to, yeah, definitely.
That's
You gotta
great.
look back, see how far you came and
Yeah,
whatnot.
and just like I guess wrapping up and thinking about, I think like a message to people. Like, what would you tell someone who feels like they're at a standstill where they need to take a risk? Like, what would you tell them, and like what words of advice would you tell yourself, Keynes, when you were at that standstill? If you wish you could have just told yourself something right away to make yourself take that step earlier, what would you have told yourself?
Hmm. Let me just think for 2 seconds.
No worries.
I guess just don't like. It's not the end of the world if you try something and fail. You know, it's like, what's the worst? I think you got to ask yourself, like, what's the worst that could happen? You know, because obviously, like taking risks, there are bad things that can happen, and you have to be smart with the risks you take. You know, don't sell your house to start rapping or whatever. You know, because then obviously it's just a dumb decision. But what's the worst that can happen if you know, what's the worst that can happen if you spend like $500 and try to direct the video? You know, nothing really. You can make that $500 back. It's not a big deal. You know, but if you stay where you're at, then the worst that can happen is like even is like terrible. You'll just be stuck in that cycle. But what's the worst that can happen if you know, travel? If you take a trip to France, you know, like if you look at it that way, it's like it shouldn't be that scary to take a different route and try something new. So
yeah, it's almost like it's actually scarier to stay in the cycle.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if you
All
look
right.
at it that way, I think.
All right. So Keynes, you know what I gotta ask you, man.
What's up?
This is Keynes Woods, the rapper.
Oh my
My
goodness.
boy Kane Sweetness, who grew up with me going to high school playing
Oh.
football and stuff. I gotta hear it live. You gotta show people something.
Sheesh. Hold up, man.
Give us something, a little something, like something new, something that I can't hear when I click iTunes, bro.
Alright, listen. I said, who got the best grand? My body's getting married. That's not the only reason I'm the best man.
Oh.
No sickety, Ben sickety, I make for the soul. I know they digging me if I don't do nothing. I'm a ball. I'm counting all day like a Rolex watch, and that's where I'll get that Rolex watch. Takes time. Heard I'm gonna be the man from talks through grapevines.
Oh. All right. Oh, all right. All right, everyone. This
A
is
little
Keynes
something light.
Woods.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you
having
so
me,
much,
bro.
Keynes, for coming up. Follow him. Check out his Instagram, Keynes Woods. It's spelled like Keynes,
Oh.
Keynes Woods. Follow him on Instagram and check him out. He's gonna keep doing his music. And remember, I think a big thing is don't be scared to fail.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for sharing your story, Keynes. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
That was Keynes Woods. You can find his music on iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud. Check him out if that's what you're into, if you're into that genre of music. Just reflecting on this episode, I want you guys just to pull out your phones and go to your notes, or pull out your journals and get your pens. Just write this question down and ask yourself, if I could never fail trying to do something, what would I try? Think about it. Write your answer and just reflect on that. Pray about it. And whatever that thing is, maybe you should try and give it a shot. Thanks again for listening to the Auricle. Thanks for tuning in. And if you want to share your response or whatever you did come up with, please message the Auricle Podcast. Find us on Facebook, on Instagram. You can email us, and we would love to hear from you guys. We'd love to hear your story. Thanks again. Stay tuned.